My brother ruined my life, then betrayed me with my wife. My younger brother David has always held a deep resentment toward me. Contrary to what you might think, it wasn't jealousy. He was the favored child. Our mother always indulged him, making his meals, doing his laundry, and even asking me to help him with schoolwork. I was expected to assist him because we were family, but I never received the same support in return. I accepted this as I was independent, perhaps partly because I always met his needs, without expecting anything in return. He never helped me when I needed it, and only approached me when he wanted something. I was quiet and introverted, focused on my studies, while he was loud and rough, just like our dad. I've always been straightforward and honest, which I believe contributed to my mother's negative perception of me. At first, I didn't mind his favoritism, but problems began when he started mocking me for being different. He teased me about my height, my glasses, and even read my diary, then complained to our mom about its contents. Whenever I protested, our parents would dismiss it as trivial. His behavior escalated. He nearly broke my glasses, put unpleasant things in my food, and even once added small stones to my cereal. When I reported it, my mother brushed it off, calling it typical sibling behavior. David would exploit my insecurities, and at school, he sided with bullies who targeted me, labeling me as a failure. On one occasion during a fight, he even told me to kill myself, a remark that deeply affected me while I was already struggling with my mental health. High school brought further escalation. David once attempted to set my hair on fire. Astonishingly, my mother defended him, claiming he was just playing. Thankfully, my father intervened, recognizing the seriousness of the situation, and threatened to involve the police. For the first time, David faced consequences, which surprised him. My father made it clear that he needed to start respecting me. Later, my dad spoke privately with me, validating my experiences and acknowledging that he had hoped David would mature, but he had become a bully. I confessed all the harassment I endured, and my father took steps to protect me at school. He even enrolled me in MMA classes, insisting I learn to defend myself. Though I was initially hesitant, I dedicated myself to training while balancing my studies, and it transformed both my body and confidence. One day, David stole my saved pocket money. I confronted him, and when he taunted me, I hit him, retrieving my money. Though my mother scolded me, claiming I should be a better role model, my father supported me. He told David he was lucky I didn't involve the police, and made it clear that stealing was unacceptable. After that, David distanced himself physically, though he continued to verbally insult me when our parents weren't around. Over time, his hostility worsened. He avoided direct communication, relaying messages through my mother, who consistently told me to be understanding. I couldn't tell whether his behavior was teenage rebellion or genuine hatred. Frustrated, I eventually moved out for university, earning a scholarship and escaping the toxic environment. University was liberating. I made new friends, enjoyed classes, and started a life separate from my childhood struggles. In my second year, I met my future wife, Karen. She became pregnant in our final year, and despite cultural norms in our religious families, we decided to marry after graduation. Our wedding was small but joyful, and our parents were pleased. I thought I had found the love of my life and envisioned a faithful, monogamous relationship. However, I later discovered 2 incidents of infidelity, one with a married coworker and one brief fling with an ex-boyfriend. I chose to forgive Karen, believing we could overcome these challenges for the sake of our child. For a while, things seemed stable, and I genuinely hoped for a fresh start. Then, 3 months ago, Karen confessed she had been having a long-term affair and implied our son might not be mine. Her words were a shock, leaving me overwhelmed with betrayal and disbelief. When I asked why she had kept this secret, her responses were cold and vague. Eventually, she admitted the other man was David. Karen explained that she had befriended David when she stayed with my family during holidays. Initially, He was polite and friendly, which I appreciated. Over time, he confided in her about personal struggles, and what began as harmless flirtation escalated beyond her control. Karen eventually ended the affair, but after returning to college, she discovered she was pregnant. Uncertain of the child's paternity, she chose to stay with me because I was the more dependable partner. The revelation that my son might not be biologically mine was devastating. Karen later admitted she and David had continued seeing each other in secret, lying about work trips and business travel. She explained that she stayed married to me because she saw me as a good father and didn't want to destroy our family, though she couldn't stop her involvement with my brother. I told Karen I appreciated her honesty, but I was leaving. She cried, asking for forgiveness, expecting me to yell. Instead, I calmly packed my things. Karen begged me to fight for our marriage, insisting mistakes happen in every relationship. When she realized I wasn't reacting, she shifted tactics, claiming our son would suffer from a divorce. I reminded her that I might not even be the father, which made her cry more and accuse me of being cruel. It seemed she believed nothing could make me leave. Perhaps I partly enabled this by letting past issues slide. While I loved her, my commitment was tied to our son and the years we had been together. Karen insisted it wasn't too late to repair our marriage, but I had no patience left. Trust had been broken, and I could never forget she had slept with my brother. I've always believed in forgiving mistakes, but this crossed a line. I left her on the doorstep and checked into a hotel. The next day, I went to my parents and revealed everything about Karen's affair with David. Their shock was undeniable. True to form, my mother initially defended David, claiming her son could never betray his own brother. I asked my parents to remain silent while I called David, hoping to catch him off guard. When David answered, I confronted him. At first, he denied everything and refused to take responsibility. When I told him Karen had confessed, he shifted blame onto her, calling her characterless and claiming women were attracted to him. He even boasted about being the better-looking brother. I told him I would expose him to everyone. When he mocked me, saying no one would believe me because he was the golden child, I thanked him, knowing our parents had heard everything. David went silent, then tried to justify his actions. My mother, still shocked, demanded an explanation. David stammered, blaming others, but it was clear he had no defense. For the first time, my mother's disappointment in her favored son was evident. I felt a sense of vindication. After years of enduring David's torment, the truth was finally revealed. My father, usually reserved, expressed his disappointment. What you've done is not just a betrayal of your brother, but of this family. You slept with your brother's wife and continued even after they were married. Your actions have severe consequences and have shattered our trust. You've shown complete disregard for family loyalty and decency. From today, you're cut off from college funds and lifestyle support. Let's see how you manage without my money. I stayed composed, though part of me wanted to scream. Watching my father confront him was the ultimate vindication. My mother, despite David's protests, remained silent. Afterwards, she hugged me, apologizing for not believing me before. I had never imagined being vindicated and embraced by her after all these years. With my father's support, I hired a lawyer to divorce Karen. She tried to claim alimony, but her affair worked against her. A paternity test confirmed David was Henry's father. The news was devastating. I had raised a child I thought was mine, only to learn he wasn't. Karen begged me to maintain contact, but I couldn't bear it. Seeing Henry reminded me too much of David. After the divorce, I moved into my own apartment. Living alone was surreal, but I adapted quickly and enjoyed the independence. 2 weeks ago, my father told me he was updating his will to leave nothing to David. True to his stubborn nature, he followed through. David tried begging our parents for forgiveness, but they refused, even my mother. David then contacted me, asking for help with college fees and claiming he had no money. I laughed and reminded him he should have considered the consequences of sleeping with my wife. I told him it was no longer my concern. When he cried, claiming everyone had turned against him, I reiterated that we were done and he should never contact me again. Seeing him helpless was painful, but his actions made this necessary. I do not plan to re-establish contact with him or intervene on his behalf. Update 1. Many have asked why I cut off contact with Henry. The truth is, I cannot raise another man's child. I was led to believe Henry was mine, and the revelation was devastating. Maintaining contact would allow Karen back into my life, and I need space. Update 2. Most correctly guessed, my mother informed David about my father's will. When confronted, she broke down. My father made it clear that any future contact with David would result in her losing his support. Update 3. It's been 5 months. My relationship with my parents has improved. My dad and I golf every weekend. My mother misses David, but has stayed away. David dropped out of college and is living with Karen, working part-time as a mechanic. Henry is being raised by them. I am doing well, recently promoted at work, and focusing on therapy. I have not dated, as I need time and space to heal. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more real-life stories.